TitleMatchNetwork.com.
I always wanted to be a wrestler since I was a little kid. My father took me and my buddies to a wrestling match when I was like 8 years old. And I was just hooked since then. I'll never forget. I don't remember the guys' names, but it was a loser loses hair match. You know? I still had a piece of guy's hair, and even at 8 years old, my buddies were going, "Man, that stuff's all fake." And so I was, "No, it's not, man. Would you let a guy shave your hair?" And I just was hooked since then, you know. So I never had a straight job. I worked in strip clubs. I've been a wrestler, you know. It's all I ever wanted to do, and I was really fortunate that, you know, my dream came true.
Wow. Was it true that Barry Windham discovered you?
Well, I was living in Orlando, working in strip clubs there and lifting weights and trying to get big. And I knew that the Florida Championship Wrestling office was in Tampa, but I had no idea where. So I moved to Tampa, and I joined every gym in the area.
Wow.
Just trying to run into some of the boys. And I was in a Publix grocery store in Temple Terrace, a suburb of Tampa, and I ran into Barry Windham. And I'd been buying tickets to go to all the shows. You know, I'd see Barry at Sunday in Orlando, Tuesday in Tampa. I'd go to the tapings Wednesday in the Sportatorium in Tampa. And it was Barry Windham, but I was real shy about it. You know, I didn't want to go up and mark out on the guys, but we're both looking at steaks, and we're going, and I was jacked, you know, I'm 290, you know, and Barry's a really big guy too, and
Sure.
I was a huge fan of his, and I remember I said, "Excuse me, Barry Windham." Well, "Yeah, how you doing?" So I just got on, he goes, he said, "What do you do, play ball or something, you know?" Because at that time they had the Tampa Bay Bandits, like the USFL, the Buccaneers, so there's a lot of big jocks around Tampa, the wrestlers, the football players. I said, "No," I said, "Actually, I'm training with Hiro Matsuda." I said, "I'm trying to get in your business." And I'll never forget, he went, "F Hiro Matsuda." he said, all he'll have you doing is Hindu squats around the building. I'll never forget, he said, "You know where the Sportatorium is?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Meet me down at tomorrow at 12. I said, "Okay." So I said, "Sure, Barry Windham's going to come work out with me at the Sportatorium." So I got there at 11 o'clock anyway, early.
Mm-hmm.
And Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda showed up, and they had me bump them.
Wow.
For 2 hours. And then they had to go make a town that night. But they would Barry would slam Mike, and then he'd say, "Okay, now you do it." And he would watch me and see if I was doing it correctly. I didn't take any bumps. I bumped them.
Wow.
And it was unbelievable. And these are two major superstars. Letting some career ender, you know, bump them around. And I don't know, it was just... And from then, I still didn't know that Hiro Matsuda was connected with the office. I had no idea. I was so green, I didn't know anything, you know.
Yeah.
And then, but I guess, you know, the little networking that was going on, they said, "Well, the kid has an good attitude, blah, blah, blah." And it kind of just, for me, the way the wrestling business was, is you're on the outside, you're on the outside, you're on the outside. And then when you're in full speed. All of a sudden you're in, we need you in Charlotte tomorrow. You know, Dusty took the book in Charlotte. So I had to move from Tampa to Charlotte on a moment's notice.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was, for you, what was the hardest thing to pick up in training?
What do you mean the hardest thing?
Was it the psychology, the bumping, the running the ropes?
I remember it's everything, because when you're green, you're just green. And I broke in an era when the television part of the business was becoming real important. It wasn't so... It was right when the Warriors came along, Billy Jack. It was at a time when it wasn't the guys who were good performers and good workers. The guys who looked the part were becoming more popular, you know, because little kids were going, "Well, I think that big muscle guy can beat up that fat guy." Even though the fat guy might be a hell of a worker, the little kid's going, "But I want to buy his doll.
Right.
I want the muscle guy's doll." So the business was changing then. So there was a lot of friction, a lot of heat, because I was kind of getting pushed because I had the look, but I didn't have any ability. But Dusty, being a real smart guy, I'll never forget, I was at the Eddie Graham Sports Stadium, sitting way in the back, and they had a little balcony where you could sit up and watch the show where the fans couldn't get near you. And I hadn't had a match yet. I'm just sitting there watching. Dusty's sitting behind me, and he's whispering in my ear. And he's going, and Billy Jack was wrestling Black Bart.
Okay.
And Dusty's talking to me in my ear, and he's going, "Now he's overselling. See, he's overselling the back there. He's doing it. He's doing that now. It's time for him to fight back a little bit." And he's saying all these things, and I don't understand it at all. I don't even get it, but I'm just doing the play like, And what I've realized what happens to me is when guys like Larry Zbyszko sitting in my room now, and Larry helped me a lot when I was in the AWA, and with guys like Michael Hayes and Dusty and Barry and different guys who I've crossed paths with in my career, they would tell me things, and I wouldn't understand it at the time. And then you'd be riding down a highway like 2 years later, and you go, "Oh, now I know what he meant. Now I know what he meant when he said fire." And and so for me, it was the moves and stuff are easy to pick up.
Yeah,
it's the psychology. Everybody develops their own style and at their own rate, but for me, the psychology is the most important thing. And so guys like Curt Hennig and Jake Roberts and stuff like that, Dusty, kind of helped me with that. I don't know if that answers your question.
Sure. Early on, when you were a younger guy at that time, did any of the veterans ever try and test you in the ring, or maybe even outside the ring?
No, everybody was pretty cool. I mean, there was I was a big redneck too, so nobody really wanted to test me because I was pretty salty cat, and when you don't have anything, you don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna do? Sue me? I got $50 in the bank.
Yeah.
But really, a lot of people helped me. I remember the first time I ever got hit by a folding metal chair was by Bruiser Brody in Kansas City.
Wow.
And it was me and Mr. Pogo against Brody. So Brody comes in, he's in the locker room, and he looks at me, and I'm huge, and he goes, "I could have a good singles match with you. What are we having a handicap for?"
Yeah.
But I'm going, "I don't know, Mr. Brody. I don't have anything to do with the booking." But so we're having our little match, and Brody's over like crazy. Everybody win. He's particularly over in Kansas City.
Yeah.
So we're out fighting on the floor, and blah, 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 and he picks up the chair, and he holds it for a second. I'm just standing there like, huh? And he just waffled me with it. And then later on, he went, "Hey, kid, turn and give me your back, or put your hands up." I'd never been hit with a chair, so I didn't know what to do. But so it's like, go, thank you, Mr. Brody.
Wow.
But nobody ever that I was aware of ever messed with me.
Yeah.
They might have been doing it, I didn't know it. Because I was so green.
You've been doing some conventions lately, and you've had a chance to meet some of your fans, and it's great for the fans to get real up close and personal to one of the biggest stars in the history of the business. Do you like doing these conventions and that kind of thing?
You said like I've been doing them. I think this weekend was like the third autograph thing I've ever done in 23 years.
Oh, wow.
I only did it because Kev and Kid were going to be there, and I feel a little bit weird charging people for autographs, but I mean, it was a big structured thing, so it didn't feel so weird, but I didn't like the way it was handled. I thought the fans got ripped off. But I do like interacting with the fans, and it's really cool to meet people who are like you guys, who understand the business and talk about it like a profession or what you do, like you're doing your skill, and if your role in this particular night is to put a guy over, even though he may have less ability than you, your job is to make him look good. Or your job is to be the hero, and whatever your role is, and you do it, and you try to be funny on the microphone, or mean on the microphone, or be entertaining, and like display your ability or your lack of ability. That's your job, and I think that's cool. And I like I like interacting with the fans and hearing what they have to say, because I'd rather hear it from people who are fans than, like I said earlier, from a bunch of dudes who don't even go to the matches, but sit at home and write letters and criticize guys. And then again, it makes me think of something Elvis said years ago, like, there's critics, and that's their job, they criticize. So, I guess as long as they talk about you, spell your name right.
TitleMatchNetwork.com